We've discussed in the previous lecture about Rabbi Yosef Karo, the Beis Yosef, that wrote a commentary on the Turim. And then, according to this work, he edited the Shulchan Aruch. He first printed the Beis Yosef, the Pirush on Tur, in the year of Shin Yud, 1550. 14 years later, in Shin Chov Daled, 1564, he has published the first print of the Shulchan Aruch in Venice. In the same period, in Poland was the Gadol Hador, the spiritual leader, Rabbi Moshe Isserlich. He went in his footsteps, in the footsteps of the Beis Yosef, and he also wrote a commentary on the Turim. He built his chibur on the Beis Yosef, where he would quote large pieces of the Beis Yosef and then add additions according to Sforim, Chiburim, Poskim that lived in Poland, in Ashkenaz, in Europe. The Minhagim of Ashkenaz, while the Beis Yosef is more involved with the Sephardic Minhagim, the Rema is more involved with the Ashkenazic Minhagim. And then, according to this chibur of the commentary on Turim, which was called Darkei Moshe of Rabbi Moshe Isserlich, he built on that, and he wrote also a chibur on Shulchan Aruch, Hagoes on the Shulchan Aruch, where he adds all those halachas and minhagim that he quoted from other poskim, Ashkenazic poskim that lived in Europe. The Shulchan Aruch, with this Hagoes of the Rema of Rabbi Moshe Isserlich, was published right away, several years after the Shulchan Aruch, in the year of Krakow, in Poland, in the year of Shin Lamed, 1570. But his commentary on the Tur, the Darkei Moshe, was not published then. It was published many years later, about more than 100 years later, in the year of Tov Nun Aleph. (1691). But those printers that printed the Tur with the Beis Yosef also wanted to add the comments of the Darkei Moshe. That was published first about 11 years later in Berlin in the year of Tov Nun Beis, 1690, Tov Samar Beis in 1702. They had a problem. They couldn't print the whole Darkei Moshe on the Tur, while the Darkei Moshe is quoting so much of the Beis Yosef. So why should they print that parts twice, once in the Beis Yosef and once in the Darkei Moshe? So they have omitted all these quotations from the Beis Yosef, and they wrote only the additions of the Darkei Moshe on the Tur and Beis Yosef. So that was published much later in the year of Tov Samar Beis, and since then all prints of the Turim has the commentary of Beis Yosef, and the editions of the Darkei Moshe. But till then, those that wanted to learn the Darkei Moshe, they copied, or the higher scribe to copy, the whole Darkei Moshe in manuscript. One of the copies we have here in the library that was written in the year of Tov 1640. Tov Aleph 1641. Not only one, we have 3 volumes. 2 of them are here in the library, and one of them, the third one, is still in Moscow. The government of Russia still did not agree to return us the collection of our Rabbeim's Seforim and manuscripts. In the time of the Rema, he was, together with his cousin or relative, Rab Shlomo Luria, the Maharshal, the 2 largest Ge'enim in Poland. Spiritual sages and poskim of that generation in Poland and Europe. Both of them wrote commentaries on the Torah. About the Darkei Moshe that the Ramesh Israelish wrote, we already discussed. But at the same time, the Maharshal, he wrote so many Seforim, and one of them was Hagoyes and the Turim. This Chibur wasn't printed. The other commentaries on the Torah in the later generation, the Prisha and the Bach, quoted, they had a copy of the manuscript of his Hagoyes, and they copied many of his Hagoyes in their commentary. But the entire Sefer of Hagoyes of the Maharshal, Rab Shlomo Luria, and Torah was never published. It is only the last 10-20 years that some of the editions of the Turim, they add these Hagoyes of the Maharshal and the Turim. So in that Ksav Yad of Tov Aleph, 1641, they copied in the same volume, we have the whole Rema Darkei Moshe commentary on Torah, and the whole Hagoyes of Maharshal and the Turim, copied in the second part of the same volume.